the Auburn Court and Duesenberg Museum, and this Duesenberg is just unbelievable stuff right there. What year is this one?
This is a 1930 Model J.
Model J. And how do I, oh, that's the door handle.
It's different on a lot of them, actually.
Brandon, thank you. My first ride ever in a Duesenberg automobile, pulling up at the Auburn Court and Duesenberg Museum in Auburn, Indiana. Brandon, I love getting together with a guy like you that has a passion for the automobile like I do. It's just fun to have two car guys talk cars. I mean, and our audience is like that. They're car people. They love cars. Now, this is a 27 Duesenberg boat tail speedster. Okay, now, Auburn made a lot of boat tail speedsters, right?
They did.
Okay, but Duesenberg only made one. But one thing I want to mention about them, if I remember correctly, the reason they came up with this design was because in the racing industry, if you got close enough to the car in front of you, you were actually caught up in his tailwind and he dragged you along, right? So you weren't using as much gas and stuff like that. With the boat tail, you never had anybody dragged along with you, correct?
Yep, and then also it's just the aerodynamic design. So if you look along the body, there's a continual curve from the front all the way to the back. So you're really having that wind shed off of the back of your vehicle. So it's just like aerodynamic testing that they do to this day, and being able to see in the wind tunnels just how you can have the best performance by getting that wind really sliding across the sides and off the back.
Now, one thing I envy you. You know, number one of your job is I would love to be doing anything here. You know, it wouldn't have to be your job. You know, if you ever need a bottle
don't take
washer,
my job.
If you ever need a bottle washer or whatever. But what I really envy about you is we've talked a lot off camera, and you go around to all these shows, Pebble Beach and Amelia Island and on, right?
Correct, we do.
And you end up driving these vehicles around the town and all of that stuff, correct? They have like concours and right?
Yep. So we do, and one of the requirements for the concours that we go to is you have to be able to drive the car onto the vehicle field. So we do drive the vehicles. We have a conservation center and if you want to hang out, we have an all-volunteer pit crew that works on our vehicles twice a week. So our curator that you'll meet later, Sam Gray, he creates a priority list for every year, especially with cars that are going to go to concours. And we get them running, we get them going, we take them around town to exercise them and make sure that they're ready to get out onto the field or get out on a driving tour. It's really in the best interest of all of these vehicles for them to continue to run and be maintained. That's what they were built for. So when they're on display inside the museum, we'll drain the gasoline out of them, but we leave all the other oils intact so everything is lubricated appropriately. But we do love getting the vehicles out and driving them. I mean, that's honestly one of the biggest perks of the job, that I can go around and tell you about driving these different vehicles and what it's like. Each one is a little bit different, but of course they're all incredibly enjoyable.
And when we came up on this car, folks, he goes, I love driving this car.
It's my favorite.
And that's like one of the coolest things. That's what car guys are all about. You know what I mean? Not that he doesn't like the other ones, but this one is special. It's unique.
It's my number one. That's right. So here we have the very first Duesenberg that was sold to the public. This vehicle was ordered by Samuel Northrop Castle from Hawaii from the Duesenberg brothers in 1919, and he took delivery of it in 1921. This Duesenberg has been in the same family from 1921 until 2019, when it was donated to our museum to be able to celebrate the history and heritage of Duesenberg, and the family that donated it and owned it for 99 years, the Castle family. So this is typically referred to as the Castle Duesenberg. So Duesenbergs also, this vehicle could go up to about 100 miles per hour. Duesenbergs also were the first vehicles available to the public with four-wheel hydraulic brakes, thanks to the inventions and patents of Fred Duesenberg. The body was custom designed by Mr. Castle himself and sent off to Bender Body Company to be able to design it. He was 7 feet tall and over 300 pounds. So it has a very unique design, and the pedals, for example, are very pushed, they're pushed very close to the cowl, further than any other vehicle. So it's one that sometimes you almost have to lean very far to get to the pedals, or there is a bolster pillow that's in the back of the vehicle that you can put to put you in the right position to drive the vehicle. The car did go through a 10,000-hour, $1 million restoration, and it won awards at Pebble Beach in 2013 at the Concours there. So we're very honored and humbled to be able to display this vehicle for the public, and we continue to take it out. The Castle family, one of their great wishes is to continue to celebrate this vehicle with the public and take it to events, so we do drive the vehicle.
Brandon, I want to get into this because you mentioned earlier when you bought a Duesenberg, this is what you bought for what was $8,500 or so. But I want to know one thing, because people are now seeing stuff on television where these guys are building cars and stuff. There's a number of really, the Texas Metal guys, they're really cool, and Bitchin' Rides, and the guy with the black cars. They do all of the frames and everything, they paint them, they powder coat them. Now, was this painted originally from the factory then?
So what you are seeing here is a fully restored Duesenberg Model A chassis. So this is what you would have purchased. These are also the colors you would have had. Again, everything was customizable. So if you wanted to have certain components painted, not that you would get that from the factory, but when you would send it off to your coach builder, they would be able to customize the vehicle to anything that you wanted.
Now, Duesenberg built this, they built the vehicle, but then they sent, if I remember correctly, they sent this whole chassis and this whole setup to a coach builder who built a body. And I remember reading something that was like, I think it was like 5 to 9 different coach builders that they used back then?
That's correct. So you could go, say, to Murphy. Murphy was a great example, and then have them create a body. You could choose something that was typical of the time period, almost, if you will, a catalog purchase. So you could see those designs and what you wanted. If you wanted something very customized, they would be able to do that for you. I mean, it's similar to this day. If you want something custom and if you have the money to pay for it, it's all yours.
So back then, this is not new what they're doing today, customizing cars.
Not at all.
And that's why you don't ever see 2 Duesenbergs that look alike, correct?
Well, you'll have some that look alike because they purchased, say, a dual cowl phaeton, or they purchased a certain body type that was popular of that time period. For example, we have 2 Duesenbergs that, when you look at them, because the colors are so different, you think that they're different bodies, but when you really get to the details, they're the exact same bodies. So a vehicle can be customized in a lot of different ways, including the colors, to make them look different.
Got one more question for you on these Duesenbergs, because I've read and seen a lot of different stories about how many were actually built. Can you give me a figure of how many were really built of the Duesenberg automobiles?
Sure. So there were approximately under 1,000 Model A's. Then there were only about 500 or so Model J's that were created. And then there were experimental vehicles along the line as well that you'll see here. So we have the Model X's. There are only 4 that are extant in the world. Then there was the Model Y. There's only 1 Model Y remaining that was salvaged. So it's very limited production. So when you see a large gathering at concours and events of Duesenbergs, that's incredibly unique, and especially here at this museum, for the amount of Duesenbergs that we have, with our being so fortunate of having great donors to this museum that donate these vehicles to us for the public to appreciate. You're not going to see a gathering like this almost anywhere.
So you're telling me there was, because I heard like all kinds of crazy numbers throughout the years. So you're saying there's probably like under 1,800 total Duesenbergs made? Tour Chicago with Richie Z. Personal and private tours, 2 people, 4 people, or 6 people. A tour of Chicago you'll never forget. Chicago is our inspiration. The Mag Mile, Museum Campus, Historic Chicago, Theater District, Millennium Park, water tower, Art Institute, and so much more. Call Richie Z at 312-841-2560. Our website is at www.richiezie.com. We're also on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Richie Z. GoFundMe page. Very important that we get funding for projects like this. We also do historic presentations of Chicago on Zoom. So tune in at RichieZ.com. 1927 Duesenberg. This one is very special when it comes down to a Duesenberg automobile. This one was actually built for one of the Duesenberg brothers. So it was two brothers that owned Duesenberg Company. And a lot of unique little features that we're going to show you on this car. But the color itself, for 1927, to me, it's very amazing because we were here yesterday prepping for this show, and this car looked black. Today we came in, there's no sunlight, sun's on the other side of the building, so we find out the car is green, but it actually changes colors. And like Brandon was saying, when you get outside with something like this, it's got to be spectacular, and I mean literally spectacular. Very subtle touches were done to this vehicle. You can actually see some pinstriping on the vehicle, but he did it in light gray. Brandon, we got all these gorgeous, and I call them trailer queens because I'm sure you don't drive them to the shows or any of that stuff. You trailer them, correct?
Correct.
You drive them in a concourse where it's very limited. There's no other traffic on the road and stuff like that. But we come across this in this place of trailer queens. It looks like it hasn't been restored. Well, it looks original. Is that what this is?
Yes, this is an original 1927 Duesenberg Model X, again, one of only 4 that are still extant. This was owned by the chief engineer of General Electric. It's got some really cool, unique features on it, and great thing about an unrestored vehicle is you can see how it originally came, its original colors, and it preserves a lot of history. These are great for people to be able to see, and especially for researchers to learn more about how a vehicle was originally equipped.
You know, when they judge these cars in shows and that, even though they were restored and this and that, but like guys lose a lot of points if they over restore it, if they make it look spectacular, better than it was when it came out of the factory, they lose points because they look for originality, correct?
Correct, and then also getting points for having the correct fit and finishes on those vehicles too. And there usually is an unrestored class that has special awards with it as well. Like this would be probably a winner in that class.
The car belonged to Augie Duesenberg, and what's really cute is he has his monogram AD on the side of the vehicle. But again, we talk about these vehicles and you personalized it, you made it yours. The metal here in this little part here on the door was actually textured to give it a different type of look, an idea that Augie Duesenberg had to make his car unique. And then I want to get into a little bit about the door they have here. There's actually a door, and that's for your golf clubs. Back then, almost everybody golfed. It was anybody. It was a very popular sport back then. And golf clubs were small. The bag was maybe about this big, and it only had maybe, I think, about 7 or 8 clubs. Not like today where you got 30 clubs in a golf bag that you need a SUV to carry around. But it also has the rumble seat. And he put 2 steps in, which you don't normally see 2 steps on a vehicle. Usually there's just like 1 to get in. So this was kind of cool, the rumble seat itself. And if I remember right, originally, or back in the era, they called these things in the beginning mother-in-law seats because you wanted to keep the mother-in-law out of the driver's compartment of the vehicle. But very unique, very stylish, very sporty, and it was owned by Augie Duesenberg. Brandon, we have a 1927 Duesenberg dual cowl Phaeton here that just kind of drew me in because of the colors of it. But we got a nice shot of not only the vehicle, of where it's at, but you can see the beauty of this Art Deco design showroom from 1930s. Man, I don't know if I want to, I want to talk a little bit, we're talking history in there. The car's gorgeous, real cool colors, but this place was open, you're saying, in 1930. So in the height of the Depression, they finally finished this and opened this building, correct?
That's correct.
And they went on selling cars still because the wealthy people still had money, right? How long did this last after that?
Unfortunately, the company closed in 1937. That's when they shuttered their doors.
So all three brands and everything else, because of the Depression and that, they closed the doors on it.
That's correct. So 1937 was the last year for all of these vehicles.
It's a sad, it was a sad day, a sad year. The whole Depression and all of that was really terrible. But folks, I'm telling you right now, when you see something like this, and car people, we're talking about car people, to come out to this, I call this actually a Disney World for car enthusiasts.
It's a
place
mecca
like
for
that.
car enthusiasts.
Right.
We have people that travel all over the world to come to Auburn just to visit us.
Yeah, and like I said earlier, if you don't come out here to see this, I mean, you're going to see, we're giving you an appetizer with this television show. You're going to see just enough to get you interested. Now you need to get in the vehicle and come down here.
Yeah, we've got over 120,000 square feet here, 3 floors, over 120 vehicles on display, multiple galleries. You can spend easily a whole day here.
What's really nice too about what you have a description with each and every car. But folks, when you come here too, they have galleries up on different floors, second and third floor. Take a look at the design, what you guys have done here with the backdrop for the vehicles. I mean, this is the showroom, so this is like but in other parts of this museum, everywhere you look, there's a description, there's a bunch of photos from the era and all of that. It's really, really a cool part of automotive history.
Yeah, we have themed galleries, so we explore Indiana automobiles, Auburn, Indiana automobiles, the history of technology. There's a racing gallery. There's so many different areas that we focus on different themes as well behind automotive history and design.
Thanks for letting us come in today, man. This was a great show. Thank you, Brandon Anderson, the Executive Director and CEO of the Auburn Cord and Duesenberg Museum. Thank you.
No, thank you for coming here and sharing this with the public.
Special thanks to the Auburn Cord and Duesenberg Automobile Museum. Executive Director and CEO, Brandon J. Anderson. Executive Producer and Host, Richie Z. Cameraman, Timothy Alway. Post-production and editing, Zoe Lord. Visit us at YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook at RICHIEZIE. Call me direct at 312-841-2560. Go to our website at www.RICHIEZIE.com. Go fund me at Richie Z. It's very important that we get funding for programming like this.